Why, hello, my seventh graders. So I don't know how, but you guys convinced me to give you one more day. So tomorrow will be the test. Today will just be a review. It's going to be a little different. I thought I'd be in there with you guys, but apparently they switched things last minute. So you're with the sub, so you better treat her good. And we're just going to go over some stuff. So you're just going to follow along the video, watch it, and then you're going to do half the questions on a practice test. So I'll have the instructions in there. Just read them in the Google Classroom. All right, well, we're going to get started. I am going to share my screen quickly. All right, so here it is. Test 2 review. The first thing we have is write these decimals as a fraction. So I don't know if you recall, but from the decimal, if we go right of the decimal, the first spot right here is the tenths place, and the second spot's the hundredths, and if we had a third spot, it'd be the thousandths. So again, tenths, hundredths. So if there's only two numbers, we're going to put that 0.37, we're going to get rid of that decimal, and we're going to put 37 over 100 because it's two spots over, the tenths and hundredths. So we're going to put that over 100. And that's all you're doing for that first one. Second one, same thing. It would be tenths, and then if I kept going, hundredths, thousandths. And since it's only in the tenths place, I'm going to put that 0.5 over 10. And you think that would be it. But I'm actually just going to simplify that, reduce it, because I can pull a 5 out of both of those. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 10 divided by 5 is 2. And so our answer will be 1 over 2. Next, we're going to do the opposite. We have these fractions, and we're going to turn it into a decimal. So on the first one, we remember that the top number goes inside the box. So we're going to put that 3 inside the box, and we're going to divide by 10. 10 does not go into 3. So that's why we're going to put a decimal right here. Goes in 0 times. So then we're going to add a 0. And 10 goes into 30 3 times. So our 3 times 10 is 30 with no remainder, which is what we want. 9 divided by 7. So this time, same thing. We're going to put the top number in the box. We have 9. And we're going to divide it by 7. So 7 can go into 9 one time. So 1 times 7 is 7. And then we're going to have a remainder of 2. 7 can't go into 2, so we're going to put our decimal in, bring that up. We'll be able to add a 0 and bring one of those zeros down. 7 goes into 20 2 times, almost 3. So 7 times 2 is 14. We'll have our 20 minus 14 is 6. We'll bring another 0 down. And 7 times 8 is 56. And I'm just going to hop over here. 60 minus 56 is 4. We'll bring a 0 down. And 7 goes into 40 about 5 times. And if you get past 3, just call it done, because this will keep going for a little while. And so this is all I want. Don't go past 3 more spots, and this will be good for your answer. Now we are going to find the sum. So the first thing when finding the sum of fractions is we're going to get common denominators. And since this one already has common denominators, they both have 5s on the bottom, we are just going to add straight across. But this is a -7. So if we have 6 plus a -7, which is 6 minus 7, that's going to give us a -1. So these are both over 5. So our answer is -1/5. On this one, we do not have common denominators. We have -1/3 plus a -2/6. And just to keep in mind, we have a negative and a negative, and we're adding together, so that's going to be a bigger negative. But first, we want to find common denominators. And one simple one we could find is 6, because 3 times 2 is 6. So we're going to do that. We're going to turn these both into 6s. And we don't have to do anything to this side, the second one here, because it's already a 6, so we don't have to change that 2. On this other one, what did we get from 3 to 6? What did we have to do? Well, we multiplied it by 2. So we have to do the same thing to the top number. So 1 times 2 is 2. And these are both negatives. And we're adding them together. So I said negative plus a negative is a bigger negative. So we're going to take -2 plus a -2 is going to get us a -4/6. And then you can reduce that. You can pull out a 2. So if I divided -4 by 2, I'd have a -2. And then a 6 divided by 2 is a 3. You know what we did include on here, which I'm going to do really quick, is a decimal. So I'm just going to erase this real quick. And for our decimal, if we had a 0.144 plus, we'll just say a 2.1, we're just going to make sure to line up the decimals and then add a 0 if we're not, and we're just going to add straight down. So this would be 4, this would be 5, and this would be 3. Just remember to pay attention though if one's a negative or not, and which one's going to be which sign is going to hold. All right, finding the difference. So this one's we're subtracting. Same thing for addition and subtraction. We're going to find common denominators. In this case, we have 5s for common denominators, so we can just go ahead and solve the problem. So if you remember what I said, and I stress it over and over, if we have 2 negative signs right next to each other like that, we're going to switch both of them. It's going to turn into an addition problem. So then we're left with 7 plus 3, and they're both over 5. So we can write it like this if we want, or we can do it individually. 7 plus 3 equals 8/5. If you want to make it a mixed number, that's fine. We could pull a 5 out. So 8 minus 5 would be 3. So we can make this 1 3/5. The next one, we have a whole number here and this fraction. So if it comes to that, to make it easier to see, we can place any number we want over 1. It's not going to change the value, so we're able to do that. And we're just going to subtract. The problem here is we don't have common denominators. So 1 can go in anything, so we're going to make the common denominators 5. On the second one, we have a 9, and the common denominator didn't change. We didn't have to do anything, so that one will stay the same. I didn't mean common denominator. I meant numerator is 9. And it's a subtraction problem. And it is a subtraction problem. And the second one, though, we changed our 1 to a 5. And how did we get that 5? We multiplied it by 5. So we're going to have to do the same thing to the top. We have a -2 times 5 is a -10. And so we have a negative minus a negative. And a negative minus a negative, if we're looking at the number line, we had a -10, and we're going to subtract 9 more. We're going further away from the 0. We're going to get a bigger negative. So that is a negative 19 over 5. If you wanted to make that a mixed number, we could pull out the 5 goes into 19 3 times. And 19 minus 15 would be 4/5. We just got to make sure to remember our negative signs. This is a negative problem. All right, now we're going into multiplication. Multiplication with fractions is fairly easy. You are just multiplying straight across. So in this case, we're taking a negative 3 times a 3. Remember your negative sign. Just keep it up there with the numerator. Is a negative 9 over 2 times 4, which is just 8. Next one, 2 1/4 times 1/3. So we are going to take this mixed number, it has a whole number out here, and we're going to turn it into an improper fraction. To do that, we're going to take this 2 times the denominator of the bottom number, which is 2 times 4 is 8, and we're going to add it by the top number, which is just 1. So 8 plus 1 is 9. So we'll have 9 over 4 times 1 over 3. You may be asking yourself, do we need common denominators? No, not in multiplication, you don't. We're just multiplying straight across. So 9 times 1 is 9, and 4 times 3 is 12. And we are done. Just kidding. We can pull out a 3. So our answer would be 3/4. How about decimal? So if we were going to multiply these two, I am going to take, let's make this a 3.6. If I were to take 1.7, we'd stack them up and multiply. And 3.6. So one thing to note, you don't have to line up the decimals in this case. In this case, it worked out, but you don't have to. So we just do our multiplication. We can ignore the decimals for now. So we'll do 6 times 7 is 42, carry our 4. Then we're going to do 6 times 1 is 6, plus our 4 is 102. We're going down 1, so we'll bring a 0, and then we'll do 3 times 7 is 21. And then we'll bring our 2 up here. And then 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5, 10. And then we're just going to add them. 2, 1, 6. And here's where the decimal comes in. So we can see that from here, to get to the edge, it's only one space. And from here to here, it's only one space. So if we added those together, 1 and 1, we are moving our decimal of total of 2 places over, 1 plus 1. So we're going to start here, and we're going 2 places over, 2. So our answer is 6.12. If this decimal, and this is not the answer, but if this decimal would have been over here, and it would have had to travel 2 spaces, then this one would have been a 2, plus the 1 is 3, and we would have brought this over 1 more space, and the answer would have been 0.612. So just keep in mind it's how many spots the decimal moves. Finding the quotient or division problem. These ones, again, are pretty simple. You just have to remember we're going to turn this into a multiplication problem, and to do that, we have to do the introvert, or we have to flip the second number. So the first number stays the same, and we want to turn it into a multiplication problem. So we are just going to swap places with these two, or the reciprocal. And so it is, this time the 2 will be on top, and then the 7. And since we're multiplying now we can just go straight across like before and multiply. So we have a -3 times 2 is a -6 over 5 times 7, which is 35. Okay, so the next one is with decimals. And we're going to put the first number, so this 0.6 divided by 2 is the same thing as 0.6 divided by 2. So the first number is going to be the one that goes inside the box. And we're going to divide that by 2. And 2 can go into 6 times. We're going to bring our decimal up, but 2 can go into 6 times 6 3 times, and our decimal will come straight up. So our answer is 0.3. We'll just try one more that's maybe a little more challenging. So if we had, let's say, 0.14 divided by, let's just say 0.8, I suppose, 0.8. So the first numbers go inside the box. So that's 0.14. And then we're going to divide it by 0.8 on the outside. If there's a decimal not beside the box, we're going to move it over. So that decimal can go over one space. So it's right here. And then we're going to do the same thing to the decimal on the inside. So we're going to move that one over and pull it up. So 8 can't go into 1, but it can go into 14. -8 is 6. 8 times 7. Or we're going to bring a 0 down. Sorry, we'll bring our zeros down. 8 times 7. 8 can't go into 6. So we brought our 0 down. 8 goes into 60 about 7 times, and that's 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. And then we'll bring another 0 down. And 8 goes into 40 5 times. So 8 times 5 is 40. There wouldn't be a remainder. So like I said, if this just kept going and going, say it didn't go in there evenly and just kept going, just stop at the third place, at the thousandths place, at the third number. All right, so that was the review for the test. Like I said, you're going to work on another practice test. You're not going to do all the problems. Be good to the substitute, and I will see you tomorrow. Just get ready for that test. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be available after school if you need to swing by. All right, see you tomorrow.